Everybody, we're here.
Hello.
All right.
Hi.
Everyone's here. Woo!
Oh, I see that Moderator Baz placed his overlay above all of us in a sort of
The fuck do
high-
you want from me? Jesus Christ.
godlike above his peon. I get it. I get it how it is.
Look,
a subtle message to the chat.
The moderators, I'm above. This is obviously mine. I own this shit now. This is mine. I am Delta Green, god damn it.
We're all Delta Green. Hi, everybody out there. I'm Caleb. This is the Creator Consolidation panel, is what we're calling it, where we've all got together on Ghost.io. I used to be and still am on Dead Channels, kind of, while Patreon allows it. And we wanted to be here to answer questions for anybody who couldn't make the great Gen Con panel we had this year. And for anyone who had questions about the latest comings and goings of Delta Green on the internet. So for those of you that have never, for those in the audience who haven't seen faces before, do my esteemed bosses like to introduce themselves?
Bosses.
Kinda.
That's a gross word.
Okay.
Compatriots.
Comrades. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
comrades.
We join arms together and into the breach. Yeah.
In this company, it's important that we're all we remember that we're all friends here. You know, no one person is above another, and loyalty is
I am quite literally above everyone here, so deal with it.
Baz, yeah, everyone. So that was Shane, the guy who helped create the game.
The consolidation is going pretty well. Scott absorbed John already, and I've consolidated Scott. So we're negotiating which of us that's left is going to consolidate another one next.
That's why I'm in a basement. Doors locked, no cracks.
Yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
And your camera only shows you like at the bottom 10% of the screen, so it's hard to tell what's around you or where you are.
Just what the camera does, man.
Yeah, my name is Shane Ivy, and I run ArcDream Publishing and publish Delta Green. And if I fall asleep, it's because we have a very young puppy that we got a couple of weeks ago, and therefore I'm utterly exhausted all the time.
I'm Dennis. I write and draw and do stuff for Delta Green. Hi. And I'm not tired. Hey, I'm not tired at all. I feel pretty good.
All right, good. High energy start to the broadcast. I'm not tired. You're tired.
I'm Baz. I just hang out here. I don't know how I got this job, but
rules over us all. Yeah.
The overlord.
What else do you want to know about consolidations?
Well, I got some questions from our Ghost.io backers as well as Patreon backers. So we were going to start with those. And then anybody in the chat, if you have questions, just log them in there and we will get to them after we run out of pre-generated questions. So
also in reference to Skeletor, so how is Baz going to fuck up and show his Discord this time? You can eat my entire ass. It's not happening this time. I prepared perfectly.
Well, Skeletorso also has said in the chat that they lost their boner because Glancy and Tynes are not here. So maybe we should take that all with a grain of salt.
Hey, look, we don't kink.
I feel pretty lucky, honestly.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Look, we don't kink shame here. We just kink ask why. And you know what? If that's your thing, that's your thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have questions from RPG Fiend and Max Mason of a similar vein. Can you give any hints as to the next big long form campaign like Impossible Landscapes or God's Teeth? And Max wants to know how many more big campaigns are in the works, like Impossible Landscapes, Iconoclast, or God's Teeth.
I'm
So-
writing one now called Out of
Yeah,
the
I'm-
Deadland.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. You started talking, so I stopped. Out of the Deadland is a
Hold on, Dennis. Why don't you tell him something about Out of the Deadland?
that's what I'm trying to do, Shane. You keep talking though.
Oh,
This
cool.
is-
Okay.
What's this? What's this Out of the Deadland I keep hearing about?
It's a long form campaign about a haunted town in Delaware. It's based on somnambuliform possession and alien math and the math behind human consciousness, and it's basically a haunted town. So I'm working on that. It'll be a whole book unto itself.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm working on one for that's been sort of percolating forever. That's about the fate called Falling Towers, and that'll, from what I can see on our spreadsheet, talking about this, I'll knock out about half of the questions people have submitted. So we'll just very efficiently clear our slate here. But yeah. So it's about the fate, and it said in 2003 when Delta Green realizes that the fate has started coming apart at the seams because the big movers and shakers are not there anymore to frighten everyone, and so it's going to be this sort of long campaign about the agents and teams that are in and around New York City and what it means to conduct a really dangerous operation where you live and where your families live, and maybe a little bit about what it's like to be part of a years long ritual that you didn't know you were participating in, and what might happen as a result of that.
Cool.
Scott's got done a good bit of work on a thing about Nodens as well that I've recently sent a ton of notes to him that we may spin that up into he wrote one complete scenario for it, and then a really extensive sort of source book background, and there are enough ingredients there that I'm encouraging him to add a couple of more scenarios for the implied direction that might take, that I think is going to be pretty interesting. So that's not imminent, but it's
None of this
sort of
stuff is
percolating.
imminent.
No, I
Nothing is
mean, and
imminent.
that's the thing to remember before, that because inevitably somebody is going to forget and ask us something along these lines, like, when is such and such going to come out? And the answer is fucking never. Don't ask me that ever again. Or more politely, I don't know. Whenever we get around to it.
All right. So Steve Dempsey has asked, what's happening with Pisces?
Oh, hey, Steve. Yeah, Scott's got Pisces and has had Pisces for a long time. And he and I have been going back and forth on the last sort of complicated, fraught finishing chunks and pieces of it. So right now he's working on the like agency templates that need to go into the book. So the what we did for in the agent's handbook for the FBI, right, and the CIA, Pisces obviously has to have for your MI5, your MI6, your MI whatever, and and Pisces itself, since it's a kind of sort of official thing. So he's working on that, and the main bulk of it is done. So that one is relatively imminent as these things go. Assuming when he turns the next manuscript over and I read it, something new doesn't occur to me that it's like, whoa, we forgot for you to write for 6 months on this one topic, and it's incomplete without it. Fingers crossed.
Without spoiling anything, I think it's a remarkable entry in our most beloved theme here at Delta Green, which is there's a government organization that thinks it has it finally all under control. And they, in fact, do not have it all under control.
Oh, no.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've discovered the key to guiding the path of the tornado.
Yeah.
Honest.
Not like those old guys. They were crazy, but we got to figure it out.
Sounds like every government agency ever.
Yeah. So another one for Shane from Sam. What is the status of the Gunslinger RPG that Shane was working on?
Oh, don't do that, Sam.
We
need Shane on real stuff, not on fantasy gunslinger games.
Yeah, it's sort of hanging fire, should I say? Because there's a lot of Delta Green that has to be done, and then we got this Black Company deal in place, and that has to be done.
Wait, I like how passive this sounds.
And
Shane went out and got this Black Company deal because we thought it was awesome. So the Gunslinger game has been taken behind the shed and shot.
Annoying thing called the Black Company license has happened to me. So that we've got, and Godlike. There's a new edition of Godlike that's pretty far along. So we've got like 3 big things that kind of take precedence. That all need me to pay attention to them. So the Western horror game is much beloved by me, keeping in the passive voice, and I can't wait to move it forward. But it too is not imminent, even less imminent than a lot of the other not imminent things we're doing.
I like how that got us covered by the New York Times. It was a kinetic business agreement has occurred. No one can say who's responsible for this.
Right. Yeah, it's a cool game. I mean, we played it. I ran it for, I don't know, a long time, a year and a half, and the players were dying to keep going in it. So, yeah, it's cool. It's very spooky and weird and immersive. But having said all that, you can't look at it for a while. Sorry.
Another Fintan asked a Falling Towers question, but we answered it. But hi, Fintan. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, Fintan. Shut the fuck up, Fintan. Answer your questions, Fintan.
All right. Adam asks, what's the most darkly funny moment that has stayed with you in a game of Delta Green?
Oh God, there are hundreds of them. I played in the original game session of Convergence with John Tynes and my agent, who is in the Delta Green book, Curtis McRae. He became kind of a character. Me and Poe were partners in Delta Green. McRae was obsessive about his food and water to the point of absurdity. Like, he would not eat anything that wasn't sealed and would not drink anything that wasn't sealed as a character trait to begin with in the game. And we turned up in fucking Groversville. So no spoilers, but in the end he was like, "See?" Like, and that was pretty funny. Because everybody else was like, "What are you doing, McRae? Like, why are just eat the fucking food? Like, have some water." Didn't work out. That was pretty funny. Shane?
Yeah, I think one of my oldest is also a Groversville thing, because the first time I've told this one before, obviously, but the first time I ran Convergence, when it was in the Oath. I ran it for a bunch of friends in Birmingham, and then I went off to school in New York, and then came back in the winter for a break, and looked up one of my buddies, and he very earnestly and kind of with a lot of distress told me that playing through Convergence had literally given him nightmares after the game.
Nice.
And I thought that was awesome and hilarious. And it was really weird that he wasn't laughing about it, but maybe that was just his thing. I don't know.
All right. Mine is a simple one. I crit failed a firearms check firing a flamethrower out of the side of a van while my driver crit succeeded driving that van. So instead of driving by the cultist compound and burning them alive inside, I hit a bump, torched my driver, and we turned into a streaking bomb that then hit the cultist compound and burned everyone alive.
Hey, look, whatever gets the job done, you know.
We
Wait.
crying,
Yes.
laughing as it happened. Yeah.
There was the other one. The Night on Owl's Head Mountain with Clancy playing, where they murdered somebody and had to get rid of the body, and I just made them actually get rid of the body, not a like hand wave get rid of the body, but you're an FBI agent. You know what happens to bodies. And Clancy had to stab the body in the chest multiple times and weight it down. And he was like, "Fuck you, Depler. This is fucking awful." D6 Sand, "Fuck you. I gotta pull his teeth out. Fuck." It was hysterical. I love that. That was great.
All right. Next question. Is there any plan to publish a campaign about the group program transition? Would that be Falling Towers, or a little bit? Maybe not.
Not really. I mean, the tensions in that transition play into Falling Towers because it's only a year and a half later.
It's kind of what I thought I was doing,
and so it's recent history.
Yeah.
Out
of the dead. Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, Out of the Deadlands deals with the fallout of the transition, the escape of, like, basically a bunch of majestic scientists run into the wind with all their weird little papers and tech, and this is the outcome of that. But yeah.
I mean, a full-on dedicated campaign, I doubt it. We haven't talked about that kind of thing, and I think but I think we sort of hit repercussions on that pretty frequently.
Yeah.
That serves that purpose for my interests.
Trevor P. also asked about Falling Towers. Would you like to berate him separately, or?
No, I kind of got that out of my system with Fantan.
Okay,
that
all right.
fucker,
Well,
Fantan, whatever his name is.
Christ-like,
I don't know who it
Fantan
is.
suffers for the sins of all. All right. Ryland, I enjoy reading the DG story collections and find it a great way to catch some moods and set pieces to use in my games. Any chance of Arc Dream publishing more from a wider pool of authors in the future?
Probably, but again, that's not something that's in the works. And if it's not in the works, then it's way off in the future. So, we had pretty good success with extraordinary renditions, getting some very good authors, but to contribute to that. But that was a long time. It was like 10 years ago. So I don't know. I mean, when I was first, I think it came out in 15. So when I was putting it together, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're doing short fiction, sort of microfiction, continually on the Ghost account.
Yeah, I love the way it went down. That the best part about the consolidation is now I can read all the way it went down. I missed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have another book's worth there at least. It's probably 20 or 30 of them. So
yeah. So I know I'm gonna continue to write, contribute that fiction series, maybe under a different title, sort of a group title, because it's to help people tell who did what apart. But those are fun to write. So Yeah. So I mean, we'll sort of keep doing things, but
Yeah, I enjoy the
again,
fiction.
we've kind of got our hands full as far as
Yeah.
wanting to do a dedicated full new book or collection or something.
Yeah, the truth is the fiction takes as much effort as a game book and produces much less impact. I love the fiction. Don't get me wrong; it's great fun to write, and but at the same time, yeah, if we spend our time writing a book of operations, it'll get so much more play and interest, and people talking about Delta Green than any fiction book. Um, so it's a
Yeah.
tough balancing act.
Yeah.
All right, so this is for Dennis, I presume, but Alex is asking a question about King in Yellow. Aside from Chambers, what are some influences that you would recommend familiarizing yourself with running Impossible Landscapes that you and Tynes may have not been explicit about at one point? But so other
I think
than the
we,
original story.
yeah, we've pretty much listed A River of Night Streaming. The story is quite good. There's a bunch of small fiction bits. Stephen King sometimes hits some points in The Shining that I quite like, and you can see influences everywhere. But I mean, overall, The King in Yellow. If you're looking for movie influences or anything like that, that's a tough one. Uh,
What is
there's
that?
a
The
lot.
Faust? That
Yeah,
always struck me as exceptionally.
Faust. These were all listed in the book, basically, I believe.
Yeah.
So Faust and Alice, Jan Svankmeyer's entire oeuvre, like everything he's ever done, is bizarre and genius and creepy. Fanny and Alexander, the movie, with the marionettes, is the source of the marionettes in our works. You know, it's really tough. It's a feeling that people seem to have attached to and figured out, because I'll see people play the game, and when they make stuff up, it doesn't come out of left field. It feels totally natural and within this theme. Um, and it's in so many books and so many works. It's about being lonely and lost and things not working out and falling apart and um, continuing forever. So anything that hits on those main themes will really play into it. There's another movie called Photographing Fairies, which sounds cheesy but is not at all, and is incredibly creepy. And I will recommend it deeply. Which hits the Victorian angle, the other world, the things falling apart, and what does death mean, kind of stuff. But yeah, beyond that, I can't say I've read Robin Lawson's King in Yellow game, but I assume Robin's doing interesting stuff with that too. So I'd take a look at that. Robin's stuff's always exceptional. So he'll have some interesting ideas.
Speaking of fiction, Tales of the Yellow Sign, is that his collection of stories, if that's the name of it. I can't remember
Oh,
the name of it.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know.
his story collection.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. Yeah.
I think I might have a story in there.
Yeah. So Brockenwitch asks, will we ever see a reprinted or updated handler screen in the future?
I don't know, Dennis, will we?
Well, it depends. You want me to finish books, or you want me to do a handler screen again?
Yeah, Brocken, which is it?
What I would say, and what I've told Shane, is just reprint the handler screen. And he said, "Well, I don't want to." So he basically wants me to do.
I mean, I guess we could just do it with the same old art as
Yes,
before, but it would be so much cooler to have a new thing.
yeah. It would also be cool to have a jetpack, but I don't. I mean, it's a lot of work. That's a huge painting.
Yeah.
Fine. I
It's
don't know. Maybe we will then. Whatever.
I love this. The public forum. I can get Shane to budge by putting him on the spot. He's like, just paint a whole new thing. I don't know. Do it.
It's the
Okay.
pressure from Brocken, what's his name, that really tipped this over.
Hey, never say that we're not responsive to fans. All right, and the last of the pre-generated questions, Fee Fi Fo Fin asks that there are the various new villain factions described in the Handler's Guide, and they talk about the Naya Priyasa and a bunch of other Russian names. I'm not going to try and pronounce live on Age on Twitch. But they ask, are there any plans to expand on short write-ups of the groups introduced in the Handler's Guide that don't currently have operations about them in future scenarios or anything like that?
No plans, but
Yeah, I wouldn't say plans. I mean, Scott and I have just recently been talking about wanting to get together with the rest of the team and talk out the possibility of squarely addressing the Dreamlands in Delta Green, because there's at this point we've got like a lot of material that kind of touches on it coming from different people in different directions. So certainly one of those factions would, excuse me, fit in that project if we commit to it.
yeah, we don't look at these.
Yeah.
I think on a high level, we don't look at these projects as, oh, well, we have a list or anything like that. We want to make the best products we can. So whatever really lights our fire, we sit down and work on that. And it's usually pretty random, as Caleb can probably attest. What are you working on? I don't know. It's about ducks. I'm figuring it out. That's pretty much how all these operations feel to me when I'm writing them.
Oh shit! Are we doing the RuneQuest thing now, like a crossover?
Yeah.
Man, I would do a duck crossover.
And we're gonna, 7 months from now, when is Shane's Dark Duck game coming out?
Yeah, man.
But no, I mean, these things congeal over time and get written slowly and become more and more form filled until there's a thing at the end. It's much less like we divvy up a list of like, you handle the Dreamlands and I'm going to take New York and you do this thing. Like, we don't really do that, which is nice. Like, I honestly think that's a way better way to do it, because when people like sectionalize these things, it becomes very mechanical and kind of like you're painting a wall or something.
Yeah.
I want art. I don't want to just kind of, we gotta cover Serpent Folk. Let's get on that. Like, that always feels bad.
All right. So we're going to the chat then.
Uh-oh.
Bud's RPG review. Hi, Bud.
Hey, Bud.
Hey,
Now
Caleb.
I'm gonna hear it from Fintan again. I can just
Wait,
tell.
this is my part. This is my job right here.
Oh, you're gonna. Okay, I didn't want to tell you.
I don't
You're.
have access.
I'm sorry,
to
Moderator Baz.
to the secret documents that you craft outside the stream. All right, Caleb, but let me run this side of it.
Mom,
All right.
Dad, stop fighting.
We don't even like you.
It's all your fault.
They say it's never your fault in this instance. Horton Fears a Coup has resubscribed with a Prime, so they get priority when it comes to the first question asked. That's why I do this part, because I'm running the fucking
All right, you're right.
There was talk of a Delta Green graphic novel a while back. Any news on that?
No.
All right, next question.
That's what you get for a Prime sub.
I know a lot of.
I hope you continue to dig the investment that you've made.
I can speak to it a little bit more. I know a lot of comics guys. There has been some interest and some questions asked about the Delta Green property as a comic. I grew up working in comics in the 1990s in New York, and I realized it's a terrifying wasteland. And the people who work there are like hand to mouth. They're amazing people trapped in this horrible like Auschwitz.
But hasn't it improved in the intervening 25, 30 years?
No, it's gotten far worse. But I mean, the page rates are the same. Let's put it that way. But whenever I get interests, I basically push back, and it never really goes anywhere. what would the situation be like? What would the money be like? Who would be writing it? Who would be illustrating it? And it basically is ephemeral and fades away.
People
So that's
say,
happened.
whoa, what do you mean money?
Yeah. We don't do money in comics. So
Fair enough.
All right. You ready for the next one, Caleb, or would you like to run this show?
You are
All right, that's what I
you
thought.
are above me in the overlay for a reason.
You're
I
goddamn
accept it
right.
now.
And don't you ever
I
forget
accept it now.
Yeah.
I am beneath you.
All right.
wow.
From Bud's RPG review. Hey, Caleb, we just finished Cornucopia House in God's Teeth. And I have a question from Seth Skorkowski and Scott Dorward. What is wrong with you? Who hurt you, man?
I guess a lot, and the who, nobody actually, which is weird. Yeah, so just very
Didn't they read the afterward? I mean, I thought we had.
I think
made
they're going.
Caleb
I think they're
address that at
going. I
length
think
in
they're
that
going
book.
very straight through. They're trying to
Oh,
spoil
okay.
the ending, I guess. Yeah, you'll see. You'll see what's wrong with me. Maybe it's wrong with all of us. Yeah.
All right. Urgeworm. Question for Shane. The hell with all this cool nerd shit. May we see the puppy?
No, because I'm in my office upstairs, and the puppy is confined to the non-carpeted living room downstairs because the puppy pees every 5 goddamn minutes. So now, a few months from now, assuming that the puppy has gotten her shit together quite literally, then she'll be up here hanging out with me in the office, and
You got to
the
watch
next time
this,
we
Shane.
do one of those, she will contribute.
Listen, no one recovers from bad mouthing puppies. Like, just keep it.
She's
Keep
a
it-
wonder
keep it-
and a dream. It's
Sorry,
amazing.
There you go.
Well,
Okay, there you go.
Well, it's not a cat. You don't have to worry too much. If we're a cat, you canceled instantly.
I mean, yeah, we have a couple of cats. They're just not in here right now.
You're not doing cat things.
But if they were, either one of them would happily show you an extreme close up of their butt.
Of their butthole, yeah.
As cats
Yeah.
do, yeah. Alex the DM89 says, "Hey y'all, I've started working on a Delta Green actual play series set in the 30s and 40s. I know we have Pisces coming, but will we see any other works or for the earlier days of the program?"
Yes. Thanks to Caleb putting together a wonderful timeline. I am writing a book called Operational History, which is an absurdly in-depth book. Yeah. Well, books.
A book.
No, it's more like 2.5 books right now.
Yeah, we talk about that about every 3 months, and I'm like, "How's
Yes.
Operational History coming along?" Oh, it's 802,000 words now.
Bigger. So the good news is the 1920s, like P Division, the raid in Innsmouth, 1930s, Operation Talcum, Operation Bakelite, the 1940s, Operation Lifeguard, all those things are covered in excessive detail with timelines and points to put your agents in and how to play and that kind of stuff. And with assets and spells and NPCs and everything. And I'm in the midst of that. I'm in the 1960s now. So the first book will cover 1928 to 1960. The second book will cover 1960 to the Schism. It's a lot of work. But it exists.
This is a book that we promised to Kickstarter backers as a 96-page PDF, by the way.
The first book will be 250 some odd pages easily. But what I'll say,
that'll by the time we're
now.
I know. By the time we're like going to be firmly into like Henry Darger territory by the time the first thing actually gets published.
But what I'll say is, if you join the Patreon, a lot of it is going up there as it's written. The Patreon, the Ghost.io. I would recommend, since Patreon is kind of shit in the bed and falling apart. I've put up large sections there dealing with like the elder things in Antarctica and what that means for Delta Green in the 1930s. So I think you might find all of that of very deep interest for your campaign.
And I also have updated the the timeline that I gave you originally when we started it with everything we've published since. We're up to over 210 different operations that have been mentioned in some form or the other in fiction or scenarios.
It's cool. It's super useful. Thank you.
Not that the institutional memory of any version of Delta Green has even a quarter of that. That is
Just
not burned or cemented over in a ditch somewhere.
yeah. It's a half drunk man burning papers, drinking scotch, laughing at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. Cabana Maldita. Now, this isn't a question, but it is a horrifying prospect of a statement they've made in your chat.
Nice.
You are my absolute heroes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
I started this to be a role bottle. I don't know about you guys.
save yourself. Kill us all.
All right. Bug Buzz says, I know many people I've seen online have problems with the way the Chocho are written. What would you recommend to people who want to incorporate them? Will there be updates to the operations like reverberations?
Well, I mean, the easiest way to play a Chocho campaign is to play with a bunch of racists who are really into the racist shit that started off with them, and then you're all happy racist campers. But the harder way to do it is to recognize that the Chocho stories started off pretty dang racist, and try to thread that needle of making that both a bug and a feature of something that you can use to critique the origins of that fiction, that kind of fiction, and what it says about Delta Green, the organization, and that's going after it, and what it says about the roles of the impact of horrors on small insular remote communities.
Well,
Victims of them. There's
a
a lot potentially that you can go in there, but it's tricky.
The easiest way to look at it is very few people have a problem with Innsmouth. They look at Innsmouth, they go, "Oh yeah, deep ones," and these New England white people who are humping fishes and becoming immortal aliens. The Chocho are mortal aliens. They're not people. They're from some other world, just like the deep ones are from some other world. They may masquerade as people, just like the deep ones. But yeah, trying to find a deeper message there is what makes it interesting and fulfilling. But the concept of these alien creatures purporting to be human is throughout all of Delta Green and throughout all of Call of Cthulhu and throughout all of this kind of stuff. It's just an issue when it's an issue. I basically just say, keep in mind they're not human. They're alien creatures who are masquerading as humans, just like the deep ones, just like the serpent folk, just like there's no difference. And carry it on from there, but make it very, very clear that they're not human beings. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, but again, that itself is the thing that can be fraught.
Yeah, I mean, it can all be fraught.
Yeah. So, just kind of recognize that, and remember that, yeah, like you said, the horror of it is that it's an alien cuckoo. It's an alien cuckoo that's supplanting certain people. It's the changeling myth.
And it's global. It's not isolated. It's not isolated
Right.
to a culture. It's
yeah. I mean, there have been stories that expanded it into the Chocho alien things behind the Chocho came up in southern France and other places as well. So that also helps. Yeah, that if you look behind the behind, the look to the origins of it. It's this very alien, horrible, gross monstrosity that's infiltrating and disguising itself quite well as humanity. So if you can detach that um, from from making it feel like you're turning particular ethnicities into the villains, right? Then that's the direction to go.
Mm-hmm.
Next
All right, what do you
question.
got next, Baz? Yeah.
What's it, doctor something. Hi, from the UK and staying up late. How's Pisces sourcebook shaping up, and will we see any gaming material around point 103 and the remains of any other Karateki experiments hiding around the world?
We already talked about Pisces. So you'll have to see in the VOD, which we will post at ghost.io.
Point
And
point 103 features heavily in operational history,
Yeah.
as does the cleanup of Operation High Jump, and it goes into extreme depth on what the Elder Things do in Antarctica after they're woken up by the Peabody expedition. It doesn't leave anything unturned. You'll feel very much rewarded if you read that, because it'll explain exactly what went down.
So,
and
yeah.
I am writing something in the wake of the joint operation to destroy La Instancia, because I find that the idea of like, hey, Spetsnaz guy, hey, illegal FBI guy, hey,
Let's go.
let's all join hands and kill Nazis in South
We're gonna
America.
fight crime.
It sounds awesome.
I just find the thought of that having happened to be deeply fruitful to think about. So I'm
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
do
fun.
something in the wakes of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I mean that action has all kinds of potential fun things going on. Because of course, as with every one of these kinds of engagements, as soon as all of these pieces of the Allied task force touch ground, they suddenly become rivals and enemies again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once the last bishop is dead, it becomes who can scoop the most files into a duffel bag
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
and run
Yeah.
away.
Well, they all have guns
That's-
pointed at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, are
It's like
those Russians trying to take the bodies with them too?
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like supermarket spree, but through a zombie factory before the
Right.
yeah.
We got a question from Skeletorso for Dennis. Playing Impossible Landscapes, I noticed that very few parts of Delta Green history or elements of Delta Green exist within the campaign, barring Easter eggs and references. It almost feels as if Impossible Landscapes takes place in its own side universe, where Delta Green is more of a framing device. What is your opinion on this?
It's really simple. There is no real world. Your idea of Delta Green and the real world doesn't exist. Everything is just an ephemeral side piece of the play at the center of Impossible Landscapes. Everything, your mother, your school career, Delta Green, the director, the Joint Strike Fighter. It's all just part of the play on some weird interrelated level. So, in a very real way, everything else is oil on the top of the water that is the King Yellow. It's an illusion. It doesn't mean anything. So yes, it is very much its own thing. Because
If
to
you don't
run
want
it
to
is
think about that, play all the other stuff.
yeah. It's a very select. If you want like a straight Delta Green experience, Iconoclast is probably the closest you're going to get. Because God's Teeth does some very dark things. And Impossible Landscapes literally uproots the entire world and goes, no, at the end of it. And that's the entire point of the campaign.
Impossible Landscapes might be a nice palate cleanser after playing through God's Teeth. You might like, oh, it's none of it's real. None of that actually happened.
I feel way better
No,
now.
way
that I
better
know the
about it.
children
I
aren't
have
being
no,
butchered.
there's no agency and everything. Nothing's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, so it's a very astute observation and question, and the answer is none of the other stuff is real. Only Impossible Landscapes is real.
Yeah, I tried in the spreadsheet timeline to figure out a way to just make a big circle around everything and just do night floors, but Google Streets couldn't figure out how to program that in there. So, yeah, just had to pick a date there.
There is one comment regarding Dennis's description of what Impossible Landscapes is, and it's my mother did what with a king and a joint strike fighter, and I think that's a great comment. But let's see. Max Albert say, I'd love to know what Dennis has planned for the 80s section, maybe a hint of something from that second operational history book.
So the
Third, fourth, fifth operational history book, whichever it is.
listen, Shane, I promised you 256-page books at the beginning, and that's what I'm going to deliver.
Yeah.
The
Yes. I look
1980s,
forward to that.
yeah, I mean, what you can expect from the 1980s is just a fucking mess. So the 70s is about dissolution and everything falling apart. The 80s is about excess and overkill and fucking things up horribly. You know,
I mean, the text that I think Scott wrote way back in the day about the 80s was, you know, what the result, predictably enough, was dead agents.
Yes, yep. And that's what you can expect is just a lot of messes that are cleaned up in the same fashion you cleaned your room when your parents were coming in and you shoved everything under a rug or threw it out the window seconds before they entered the room. Lots of operations like that with high body counts.
Ooh, Epoch says 80s campaign confirmed with cocaine fueled cultists in Miami. Sign me the fuck up. That sounds awesome.
Well,
Yeah, just the cultists.
I have an
not everyone.
I have an 80s campaign I'm actually working on called And the Darkness Spoke, which Shane got to play through a chunk of, which is about a Golinak. It's set in the 80s in New York. It's all about the crack cocaine epidemic in New York, where I grew up. So it's a wonderful, it's also my therapy for having grown up there. I get to write about it, which is quite nice. But it's horrible and creepy, and the crimes and violence there, you know, sometimes the Delta Green stuff doesn't feel quite as creepy compared to the actual stuff that happened there, which is quite nice. But yeah, that's available also on Ghost.io. A chunk of it, at least.
Epoch asks, has there been any thoughts of how Operation Paperclip could have attributed to possible caretaking ideas and influence, or was Delta Green keeping a strong enough lockdown on which Nazis came to America via Operation?
Oh, fuck, yeah. No, the Nazis, the caretaking Nazis were dead or snatched by Russia. Those are the outcomes for Karatakia. And I'm sure Delta Green had very careful lists. No Karatakia researcher is going to creep over to work on the Saturn V project or something like that. They, or if they did, they would be, they'd come home one night and fut.
America is only for the good Nazis.
That might have been the subtitle of Operation Paperclip.
Yeah.
They wrote
Yeah. Our allies.
Our allies within the Nazi party. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. The plebiscite has a question. Currently, I am a Dead Cells patron. Just so I don't mess this up, is it your intention that I cancel the Patreon and join the Ghost.io? I assume is what it's called. Don't want to cost you any more money than this is already.
Oh no, you're fine. Yes, that is my intention. If it's a better value for you, please do so. I made an agreement with my patrons, which is why I'm staying there if they would like to stay there. But I freely admit that having all of our stuff together in one place for $6 a month is a better. If you want to keep supporting more than that, you can do the $15 a month, or you keep backing both. But the main thing is, while I am okay with you doing that, I just am not going to tell you what to do because I'm not Patreon. I'm not going to make an agreement with you and then just go like the cat and knock it off the table. Like, I'm not a tech company. I thank you for
Back
backing
to
me on
fucking
Patreon.
Bast again. Good
Yeah, I
God.
hope you back me on Ghost or whatever you would like to. But yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear about that. But yes, that's great. Please do that.
Taffy Saint has a very important question reply to the 80s campaign. Will you provide mechanics for sliding over the hood of a car while in pursuit? If this doesn't feature in, then it's a failed project already.
In so much as your shirt will come up and your skin will actually catch against the metal and make a horrible squeaking noise, leaving a like a friction rash on the side of you while you're shot on the hood because you didn't clear the hood. Yeah, we'll totally do that. No problem. You'll roll on a
Just
D100
succeed at
table.
that
It'll give you
dexterity roll, and you'll be great.
Well, yeah,
next
Nothing
time
could go
try.
wrong.
that's gonna have the highest body count in any Delta Green game ever, probably.
I've got this. My
Ah,
my dexterity is 99.
those are my favorite incidents in Delta Green games. Is hey, make an ability score check, and it's always
So it's
invariably,
just doom.
yeah, it's just oh shit. All right, question for all: what are some of the challenge? Oh, this is from QCG Aaron. What are some of the challenges you faced as the Delta Green timeline develops? Do you ever feel like the idea well is drying up as the number of scenarios and canon facts increases?
No.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were gonna save this till the end, but the end of this show is gonna be the end of Delta Green.
That's it.
We're
Shut
shutting it
it
It's been
down.
a good run. Thanks, guys.
I'm actually changing the stream title to "The Real Fall of Delta Green."
No, I mean the answer is no. I do this stuff because I love it, and there's always an idea lurking. I have a list of
Yeah.
maybe 60, maybe 70. I don't know, and they just keep coming. I love doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't. I mean, none of us have gotten to the point yet where we find ourselves thinking, "Well, damn, I'm out of things to say about Delta Green."
I mean,
luckily, and if basically the modern day real world and the history of the United States alone, every time you turn over a new thing, there's something absolutely horrifying in there that you can then use as inspiration to make it even worse in fiction.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love doing that. I mean, also there is the fact that the stuff we're writing is kind of seems to be coming true with congressional hearings on UAPs and stuff. David Grush is in there going like, "Oh, the Roswell UFO is bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. It's filled with packed clay, and the Greys are biological automatons. They're not even really a race, and we think they're." And I'm just like, "Wait, what? Like this is in front of Congress?" So apparently, I'm God.
Either coming true or
Yeah.
or like that wonderful eternal gift of a book about that chef. They just take what we did and then run with it as if it were
The
history.
Julia Child.
Yeah, the Julia Child
Fighting
thing. Yeah.
Delta Green agent.
Right.
Fighting
Right.
That better be an
Burma.
operational history. I want to know exactly which operations Childs was on. What was her
Right.
role?
What you want to do with the you want to cut from the base of the star spawn. It's terrible. I mean
No.
the
Sorry,
book
go
is
ahead.
becoming more true, which is bizarre. Like when have you heard of special access programs before? I mean, we wrote about it years ago, and now it's like, oh yeah, by the way, there are special access programs, and it's because we did our research and such. But at the same time, I didn't expect him to have congressional hearings on non-human craft and things like that. And I don't know what to think about that, but it's quite bizarre. I'm waiting.
What really sucks is it's really hard to lodge a copyright infringement suit against members of Congress.
Is that Taffy Saint? This isn't a question, but they heard about Delta Green in passing several years ago. Didn't really know what it was. Went to a game store here in Singapore. They said earlier they are from Singapore, looking for Call of Cthulhu. But being Singapore, it's all D&D and a bit of Pathfinder. It's everywhere, bud. Except in one dark corner where I saw the agent's handbook and handler's guide. I've never seen another Delta Green book anywhere in Singapore that isn't my apartment. Is this a dead drop?
Yes, we set you up. You'll receive instructions in 6 to 8 weeks. They'll be in your shoe.
Why
Yeah,
is my name already in the front cover?
This is-
Yeah.
Let me see.
This is a work of fiction.
Could you guys do like a charity event? This is from Epochs. Could you guys do like a charity event where we throw money at you so we can see you guys play a game of Delta Green?
Sure.
I would love
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
to run to not run a game of Delta Green. Definitely love to moderate that stream.
Sure.
Slash
Yeah,
maybe-
yeah,
slash
I mean,
maybe
Yeah,
playing it.
join Ghost.io, by the way, and that kind of thing is always imminently likely to happen.
We'll pick a charity and run a game. Yeah, I mean, sure. That's
were-
Yeah,
fine.
we could do a death game thing. Like if people vote, more terrible things happen to your character.
Yeah.
They're early on in the life of the Delta Green, which we were doing actual plays. Logistics.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Logistics
again.
for live streaming games is a little different than recording it, and recording it in Discord's already can be pretty complicated sometimes, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Let's see who else? What else? Reply to the Pisces source book. With U.S. setting, the 40,000 federal and local agencies make for its own banal horror, have you found ways of exploiting British bureaucracy for the same feel in Pisces?
Yeah.
All right.
Just
Not hard.
Just so incisive.
Yes. All right. So can we watch Dennis immediately try to escape the scenario?
Yes. Yes. But that's an honest reaction.
I am most
That was-
interested. Oh, Taffy
Sorry, go
says
ahead.
they're very interested in Pisces because they're actually from Wales. They just live in Singapore.
Oh, cool.
Any fuck Nazis charity will work. I second that. Always fuck Nazis. Don't.
I like to be more
Is
explicit.
by the way, is that a real charity somewhere? Because it really should
It should be.
Fuck
you know?
No, it should be.
Nazis.
Fuck Nazis, a 501c3 nonprofit.
Yeah,
There you
I'm in.
go. Run a Ukraine war version of Kali Gata for Ukrainian aid.
We've already raised a bunch of money for Ukraine. I think what was it? We did quite a bit way back when.
Yeah, we I don't remember how much we did raise a pretty good amount of money for Ukraine. We've done stuff that raised money for like helping prisoners, incarcerated people in the US. We've done stuff that certainly done plenty of things that raise money for
We did Doctors Without
Doctors Without
Borders.
pretty
We did
frequently, and
what's that? Habitat? No, we didn't do Habitat. We did the most recent one was for homeless kids.
yeah, Covenant House.
Yeah, Covenant House. That was
in
it.
the US.
But yeah, we'd love to pick something and run a
we love
game.
doing that.
Side question from Taffy saying, we'll be relocating to Australia soon. Is there an Australian agency?
No, not that I know of.
Bingo.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I think Scott has kind of addressed a few possibilities in columns that he wrote for magazines and such here and there, that some of which might get expanded upon and made a little more official along the way. But I think he made kind of a conscious decision to leave Australia unfomented. Sorry. So if you want to go with that and set up your own group of investigators that are trying to secretly do shit within the Australian government, then go for it. But that'll
Yeah,
all be
totally.
them.
The thing I'm most excited about with translations of Delta Green going out to so many different countries, I really hope to see like fan and community made stuff from like someone who is German, is Australian, is
Sure.
I would love to see
Mhm.
someone from China try and do like, what does the CCCP think about all this shit? Like,
Yeah.
and how are they dealing with it? Like, I'd be so interested to read that. And I could try and research it and like not have the language skills and fuck it up real bad and waste my time. But like, I know if like the game gets over to all those places and meets a bigger audience,
It'll naturally kind of
that
do
will
it.
naturally occur, and they will do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it'll
agree.
be it'll be very cool to see what
Yeah.
fans
Yeah,
come up with
I
along
love that
those
shit.
lines.
The thing I will say is the most common mistake I see in stuff turned in is like jetpacks and helicarriers and like if I was to build an Australian agency, it would be like 5 guys at a desk somewhere,
Right.
and this shit
Right.
just gets passed down, generation to generation. Like, oh, you know about the books from the desert that talk about the future? Yeah, we have 3 of them, and they're true so far. But you could build an
Yeah.
entire game just around Yithian ruins
Yeah,
in
and
Yeah, I
Australia.
mean, and the key to it, which is so easy to miss, is start with that as your premise, and then make the rest of the thing about how it fucks everything up, and
Right,
everyone who
right,
comes in contact
right,
with it is made a victim. And
right.
remember to keep
Yeah,
it seems to be so tempting to start with one of these projects as your premise seems to be it's a little like Delta Green, but it works.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
okay, but that's
No,
boring as shit. Don't do that.
yeah, no. The other bit is like the bad guys are human. Like if I had a book in 1977 that had 20 information from 2025 in it, I don't care how loyal you are to Australia. That's going to warp a motherfucker.
Mhm.
Eventually it's going to be like, yeah, he made these really interesting trades in about 2000, right? There's all these airplane stocks and he made a ton of money suddenly. So building human frailty and evilness and that kind of stuff, but keep the scale down and make it really tight and creepy. You can make an amazing, it's just, it's F desk. We don't know what the fuck they do. It's some archaeological intelligence desk or something. And
Mhm.
you could build. That's exciting to me right
And then
now.
and
I
then
think
bring
build
Delta
something
Green
cool.
proper into it
Yeah,
as like a CIA officer who shows up and gives you ideas or help for your
right.
investigations, and and it's the GM's job to keep the words Delta Green entirely out of her mouth all the time, that she just fucks with you, and then when you do something useful tries to steal the results of it. And
Sounds awesome.
um
I want to
and then
play this game.
eventually somebody does drop the word Delta Green, and it's like, oh god, those fucking Americans again.
Yeah, totally. I want to write the Canadian. I want to write the M Epic book because I'm now full Canadian, and I
Right?
want to get
Yeah.
the government to pay for it. I want Canada
Yeah.
to. That's
Yeah.
the ultimate Canadian act right there.
yeah, I
Whenever
imagine if you're Australian Delta Green, your mission is to make sure the Americans don't know the unnatural exists, because you know
Right.
how awful that's gonna go. Like, we're
Right.
5 guys of the Australian
Right.
Navy, and we're gonna make sure that the Yanks never learn any of this is real.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
I like it's like a TV show in my head already. Like, oh, we have books for the future. We don't know who made them, and they're indestructible and last forever, and they're giant. That's just fucking amazing. That's a great premise.
Kayla, whenever I did the Eldritch America thing,
oh yeah,
I
that was
had
fun.
I had plans for incorporating like the Cherokee Nation actually has, within the Cherokee government, we have our own government in our nations here in the States, like in our areas, territories. But they're kind of a not necessarily an official organization, but there's definitely been a pass down through the time. Like people, just the knowledge gets handed down to the next generation of people and stuff in the nation. And there's going to be a whole thing dealing with Delta Green, not only having to deal with the normal bullshit of that they get sent off to do, but also having to deal with tribal sovereignty as an
Mhm.
issue, which I thought could be a really really fun thing to do.
Yeah, I love the
That
idea
could be
that like
super fun because, of course, all of the Indian nations in the U.S. have a long history of the federal government treating them right.
Yeah,
and never having
everything's
anything going wrong with the state government agencies.
No notes. Everything has worked out just fine. All promises kept. Everything on the up and up.
So every time an FBI agent shows up out of nowhere, it's like, oh man, I'm so glad to see you again. You guys always do right by us.
We're definitely not going to shoot that guy. What's another? But yeah, well, during that whole time, when I ran those scenarios, Oklahoma just had a huge Supreme Court ruling on tribal sovereignty called the McGirt ruling, saying, with the nations can, all federal cases have to be tried in tribal courts instead of state federal stuff, which was really cool. So like there was a lot of like inspiration there for like how can we make some Delta Green agents' lives even fucking worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's the correct attitude.
Yeah,
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Blah blah blah. Here we go. Here's one question for Caleb and everyone. The good life dropped, and it was good. And what have been some hurdles and challenges you've encountered writing the tie-in scenarios for the Labyrinth factions?
Oh, yeah, hurdles and challenges. The thing is that Tynes' stuff is so good, and the Labyrinth is such a great frame for a campaign that, like, tying it in, I never want it to be, and then I just regurgitated what Tynes said because that was a good idea. Or I want to drive people back towards the core of those groups and books. So the hurdle is like, how do I connect into those ideas so you get into the Labyrinth while still being like its own self-contained one shot that's kind of its own thing. I think The Good Life does that very well in that, DeWant stumbles on something that he is completely unprepared for, and you're going off on a completely. I tried to do that in Rejection with the antagonists of New Life Fertility, and that you're not really dealing with them directly, you're dealing with them fucking up and also trying to get it shoved under the rug. So what I'm trying to do with that is just make sure that they are unique individual scenarios by themselves that then point back towards the Labyrinth. Because like if it ties into the Lonely, I just don't want to be like making all those cool Lonely phenomenology things in my scenario, because you should go read the Labyrinth and do that in your own campaign already, because it's yeah. So I'm trying to make them connect but still be their own thing. Yeah, which I think Tynes showed me a good example of in The Good Life.
Yeah, use them as introductions.
Mm-hmm.
Have any other questions from the chat?
Oh, thank God.
We got shit to do, guys.
Wait, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
They have books to write.
The anyways heavily on his neck.
I like
put it down.
I like the implication. Like we often get the implication, like, when are you gonna do X? And I'm like, motherfucker, there's like 1,200 pages of books.
Yeah.
Like
there's A through W right behind me.
Yeah.
X is on its way.
It's a whole fucking shelf. Like, and I'm just like, it's quite. I understand you guys are excited about this stuff. So are we. It's really funny to get like, when is X coming out? Like, I don't know. Someday maybe I'll start writing something. Like, I think we wrote like 1 million words or something in the last 2 years between me and Caleb and Shane, probably. Like, and maybe Tynes. So we're working on it. We're trying real hard.
There's the when are you going to do March Tech? Wink. Has it ever been talked about how? Wait, is there a question there? Is there an answer?
Yeah, we're working on that one. That's actually quite fun.
There you go.
I did the cover to that. I finished the cover to that book. So
yeah, that's a Deep State, which Chris Gunning did a ton of material for, and then I did a ton of. I don't know if I'd say I wrote a ton of material, but I sort of accumulated a ton of notes and ideas and things, and then
I tore it up like meatloaf.
Handed all of that bucket to to Dennis and said, "Put this into a grinder and grind it like a monkey, and then make it into hamburgers, and don't tell anybody what's in it."
If it isn't too early to ask, what's in the pipe for the Sours scenarios? They're one of my favorite factions, and I'm very eager to hear what you came up for them.
Thinking of a way to tie in to the sowers. I haven't gotten there yet. I've got ideas for Rinko. I've got ideas for the Pranya Sodality. I've got the NLF
I
scenario.
love those guys. Pranya Sodality,
Yeah,
my favorite.
And then I've got a tie-in for the Witness Alliance because I like Hawthorne going apeshit.
Yeah, Jeffrey Hawthorne was my Cthulhu Now character that we played when we were playing in the 1980s.
Oh, I didn't know that.
87, 88, when he was like a college kid. That was our Cthulhu Now campaign. So,
man, he
so
has
yeah, once Delta Green came out, like 15 years later or whatever, I was like,
well, that was the fate. The fate was
wound up in Delta Green, and then
yeah. Now the fate was my Cthulhu Now
way
campaign
harder
in high
yours?
school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the fate. Yeah, so straight up.
Yeah, so I don't have an idea yet. I had a couple of ideas, but they seemed too mean-spirited, and I wasn't ready for them
That
yet.
sounds promising.
Look, asking me to write a sower scenario is like the bad guys are evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
I
know.
It's a little too on the nose for me. I'm afraid I'd get too excited. Yeah.
You're crackhead. Would you like some free crack?
Yeah. So I'm trying to before I just
Why don't you tell us what you think about crack?
Yeah. Before I go all in, I need to be careful on that one.
Even I remember when Labyrinth came out, we had a couple of the reviews that showed up that were like, these guys hate Jesus, they hate Christianity. And
look, when I need to locate a cult, I just point on a Google map and do churches near me. Like I just
walk out your front door.
It is let them blame me for that. That is my go-to move. Yeah, because I want to make it realistic. Yeah, yeah.
I live in Oklahoma, and like I always thought we were kind of like a Republican, very red area with a lot of Christians and shit. And then you pass that border in Missouri, and it's a fucking trip, man. Like billboard after billboard, fire.
I am 5 minutes away from a neighborhood where all the streets are like Liberty and like Justice Boulevard, and it's surrounded by like black wrought iron fences with spikes poking out, and like American flags over the goddamn it is like you could do anything in there. I wouldn't know because I'm not going to go anywhere near it. There's no telling what's going on in there. Yeah.
I mean, I moved up to Canada from Alabama. So
you're the progressive
exactly.
bastion
I know
of the
that
South.
world.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna get too enthusiastic if I do a sower scenario. I gotta ramp it
down. They're gonna find poor Caleb stroked out at his computer, with too much inspiration at once hit his brain.
I mean, a common question, but are you guys on a watch list for the type of stuff you search up for the things you work on?
God, yeah,
probably.
Oh my God! In the United States, forget it.
Also, congrats! You guys are also in chat. All of you are on watch lists for being here.
Yeah, welcome. It's the joy of a watch list. It builds a community.
NSA. Yeah. No,
welcome to the core theme of Delta Green, which is when you make contact with Delta Green, you're part of the problem that Delta Green.
Common search parameters include like weight of human head average, and things like that.
I won't dox anybody, but I have a very close friend, and if you follow me, you probably know who it is, whose wife is currently undergoing naturalization, citizenship, and they needed a letter from someone in their life to attest that their relationship was real and not just for a green card, and they needed them to send it in to like Homeland Security, and they asked me, and I was just like, man, let me show you what I Googled just today.
Right,
Are you
Yeah.
sure? Like, you're
Yeah.
getting 80 points for having
like
my name at the bottom.
It's like masturbation with yellow cake uranium.
Yeah,
Question mark.
best way, unique way to hide a body. Best way to hide a body. Like, how to make napalm. Making a napalm from a bot. Like, yeah, it's just sound like a lunatic.
Never mind all of the commentary on the Department of Homeland Security itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I was like, there's got to be someone better for this job.
Is it gonna? Yeah.
What's the
Are
letter?
they gonna have problems with what I think about the Department of Homeland
Yeah,
Security?
like
What I have
Caleb
said about
opens
it?
the letter with like, "Dear fascist dickheads, please find enclosed." Like, yeah, not a good
Yeah.
call on their part.
Five paragraphs on how your existence as an organization is an affront to humanity.
You sicken me.
Oh, and by the way, this person you're asking about, she's super cool, and their relationship.
Yeah, they're
is
fine. It's totally real. Thank you very much.
love.
Yeah, you're gonna get on a terrorist watch list as I do it. I don't think that would be the intended effect. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see who. Garen asks. Speaking of the fate, is the faceless woman from Reverberations ever coming up again?
I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, she's certainly gonna be in Falling Towers. Definitely, she's one of the lords.
Plebiscite asks if you can talk about it. How much cooperation is there between you and the Fall of Delta Green team at Pelgrane?
They're friends of ours. We chat with them. We look at their manuscripts before they go to press. We give them notes sometimes. Most of the time, Gareth and Ken just nail whatever they're doing, so it's not a problem. It's much like other members of the Delta Green team. I mean, Ken is a member of the Delta Green team. So it's pretty much like that. But I think that line is kind of coming to an end anyway. So naturally.
Question from
I ought to expound on that a little before, just in case anybody takes that statement and goes crazy with it. The Pelgrane license was for 2 books, for the Fall of Delta Green and for a campaign that's based on the Fall of Delta Green, right? So, coming out with the Borellus connection fulfills that license. So, what comes in the future? We don't know. We haven't had deep conversations with Pelgrane about that.
I had a question asking about do you plan on turning any of the Insolent Impulse things into published content?
I'll ask Shane after I get through the 2018 Kickstarter goals. So yeah, I got plenty to hack through before I go back to that. So
that's the one we're all playing in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I think it's entertaining and fun to play with my friends. So even if we don't publish it, I think it's worth a listen to, because I think it's kind of interesting to do a once a year get together with all the people you've come to both solely rely on as your entire family and grown to hate and distrust to perhaps a murderous degree. Yeah. So it's like a family reunion every year for me. Yeah.
Question from Finn Pete His Pants. Great name. On that note, to pester you one last time about the Labyrinth scenarios, what have you changed about Language of the Stars? I recently ran it as a 90s scenario that I tied into the Scopsy and thought it was really cool.
Go nuts, man. I just couldn't get the chase mechanic to be things that people liked in the playtest. So it was a thing that was pretty much universally hated, and it was the basic frame of the narrative when I ran it. And like people I ran it for enjoyed it, but everybody who ran it from the thing didn't really enjoy it. So I got to figure out some other way to do that. And I haven't yet. So it will be back when people decide to enjoy it. Until then, I think it is going to be on the
you
back
fuckers
shelf.
Shut up and like this thing.
Listen,
then we'll do more with it.
I'm making beautiful games here. You need to play them.
Look, I heard the playtest feedback. It said it was bad. I listened. What do you want? Like, that's a responsive designer. I took it on board. I processed it. Yeah.
Didn't take it personally at all.
No, I just burned
And
it
I
in a
grew as a
barrel
human being.
behind my house. Yeah, and we'll never speak of it again. Yeah.
This is why we occasionally have conversations where, we're like, okay, the way playtesting works is sometimes it has really good feedback and ideas and things to pay attention to, and sometimes it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Like some of these guys that send us responses, they'll send us these deep, long, very, very thorough and dumb as shit reactions to what we've created, and the magic of using that is figuring out which is which.
I think my favorite piece of feedback was a comment section in the game I ran, Caleb, that no one was being hassled or accosted for PPE in public.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And it's funny. It's like, oh, that's funny you should say that, because literally in Stillwater, Oklahoma, a McDonald's employee was shot in the fucking chest by someone for demanding they wear a mask.
Yeah. Pretty much cured that right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Man, people be wild.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the feedback I got on the earlier Night Floor stuff was like, "Why is there a giant air shaft in the middle of the building?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. Ask New York City, motherfucker. Like, I live there. It's a real thing. Why is there a bathtub in the
like in the middle of the kitchen?
Like, yeah, that's like they act like I'm making it up.
Stuff where.
Yeah,
Right, it's like, no, that was a place that I hung out in, and
it's a real place.
In the middle of the kitchen. It was weird as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to slag off all playtest feedback. I don't know.
Oh no, that's the thing. It's just like most of it's
super
awesome,
useful,
and some of it's super weird.
Some of it is genius, and some of it is very strange. Like
much like all of us,
really minor things. No, everything I say is perfect and blameless. I don't know about you.
In the one thing I saw, everyone hated the mechanic, but they all hated it for different reasons, many of which were contradictory.
That's right.
And so I had to look at the Venn diagram and be like, okay, where can everyone agree? They hate this. Oh, okay. Well, the outcome is clear. Yeah.
If it was a 360 circle, the great game design is here, and Caleb's design is apparently in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah. So I did the math. Yeah.
It's the purple to your orange. It's the green. Yeah.
Welcome. That is a piece of the joy of making games for a living. It is moments like that we've all had.
This is a question I think kind of answer. It's pretty much just if you want to do it. But do you think it would make sense to try and do a modern adaptation of Masks of Nyarlathotep set in the 2020s, but through a Delta Green lens? I mean, that just sounds like it'd be fun to do on your own. Like,
yeah. I mean, you could just do that. There's really, it would be pretty easy to set it up and have it be a Delta Green mission. Now, the downside, of course, would be like, if you were the program, you'd have Vulcan gunships and make a lot of the situations a lot less entertaining on the ground. It would be like, well, should we use we're gonna fire artillery down at them from the gunship, or are we gonna it's much more fun when you're on the ground. So making it a ragtag group running the globe kind of thing, which is what Masks is, would be kind of difficult if it was involving the program. So I would make
International Incident, the role playing.
Yeah.
I would make it the Cowboys, and I would make the program actively opposing whatever they're doing.
Right.
Trying
Why
to
are
stop
these
them.
Fuckers blowing things up in Shanghai? Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
We have a lucrative contract with Nyarlathotep Incorporated. They do great work. Like they're so stop fucking with our contractors. So yeah, that sounds fun. Just go ahead and do it. I know Larry would think it was cool and fun.
Also, if Jack Brady isn't a cowboy agent name, I don't know what the fuck is.
Yeah.
I made my new character as a follower of the Jackson Elias TikTok account. It's a journal everyone can read. Yeah.
He started off at Tumblr.
Yeah.
Things went really
I'm an OG Elias follower. Yeah.
Comrade.
Then it went to only. Oh god.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I was just gonna say it went to OnlyFans. It got a little weird there for a bit.
You were talking about the Chocho Deep One dating app and stuff earlier in the stream, and I was trying to come up with something, but then the only thing I could come up with was OnlyFins.
OnlyFans. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Let's fund it. Come on. All right. Comrade Silence is joining late, but I'd love to hear Dennis and Shane's thoughts on the Loopy Jester Gang Dead Channel's unofficial one shot Caleb dropped. Love y'all.
I'm not even sure
that was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, I listened to
Okay.
all of it, and it was
right.
it was cool because I mean I think I told Caleb this before when we maybe I did, I don't know, but it was what I loved is that it sort of started. It seems to start as this like lark of an idea that was intended to be just this goofy idea of let's make a Delta Green game about juggalos, and then it really quickly went into very appropriately dark, crazy kind of cosmically freaking out directions. So yeah, I thought it was cool as hell.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
I was a consultant on that.
You were, thank you.
On that scenario.
I have never gone. Maybe one day Delta Green can fund me going to the carnival. But,
Do a research
I
trip.
have yet to go
One
to
of
the gathering. Yeah.
One of the deep dark secrets of Baz here is that in my youth I may or may not have been down with the clown. And so
Juggalo adjacent.
Yeah, I was Juggalo adjacent, yes. But yeah, so Caleb was like, "Hey, I need some information on this." I was like, "I got you, fam." Whoop whoop. Let's see. Oh, this is just bait for Dennis, but do you get frustrated by people who seem to have wildly missed the point of Delta Green and run it like an action scenario? I think we'll get helicarrier soon.
I don't care how anybody runs their game individually. We had a guy a couple Gen Cons ago who was like, "I'm mixing Harry Potter and Delta Green." I was like, "Okay, have fun." Like, if you want to run it a particular way, I'm totally down with that. It's the downside is when you show up and go, Delta Green would be infinitely better with helicarriers. And
there's a great distance between I want to do this thing and you should do this thing.
Yeah. No, it goes further than that often. When I get those responses, it's Delta Green is stupid because you don't do this thing. Right. Whereupon I go, everybody who makes a living making TTRPGs, raise your hand. And it's obviously not as stupid as they think it is. I'm totally down. If you want to make a Delta Green game with jetpacks and, complete plot immunity for the player characters, if you're having fun doing it, you're running the game correctly. It just, when it becomes kind of personal, like you need to write it this way, that kind of stuff drives me nuts because it's like, clearly we're doing something right.
Yeah, we do occasionally get those things saying, I like Delta Green, but all of your scenarios are kind of garbage, so let me write scenarios for you.
Yes, cool. That's 3 a year at least.
Dude, I'm kind of fucking stoked on this idea of Harry Potter and Delta Green. Like
that guy seemed really excited, like in a super positive way, and I was like, "That's awesome."
See, my idea is like some little teenage wizards like Expelliarmus, and the agent's like suppressed MP5.
Right. I cast American magic.
Yeah. Pop.
You transphobic little British shit.
It's just an elimination mission like La Estancia, except instead of Harry Potter, you're just moving in and just murdering everybody.
Go through a wizard's castle.
We got this whole college full of sorcerers.
Yeah,
boy, that's rough.
They're adolescents.
And they're all children.
Yeah.
And they're like,
not again.
The glory of friendship.
Isn't Pisces supposed to be dealing with this shit?
Yeah. They're everywhere. They just keep coming.
Oh man, I need this now.
Every Hogwarts house is just different rival Shan infestation
Right.
factions.
Blah, blah, blah.
No wonder they're all so fucking transphobic.
Let's see. Got a lot of comments all during that.
we brought the Rowling fans out.
People
into
are
the
like, Delta Green Juggalos? Harry Potter? Wait, what the fuck are they talking about?
All at once, one game, unifying ideas. Juggalo Harry Potter.
There you go, Juggalo Harry Potter.
Yeah, we're gonna start releasing skins into the TTRPG.
There you go.
We're gonna have seasons,
Make it
different
blockchain.
product. Yeah,
Make it-
SpongeBob's in it.
Make it
Blockchain.
blockchain somehow.
Fucking
This
blockchain.
is going to be
Oh.
the big Delta Green AI software project
God.
Hey, do you
that
want the
everybody's been asking for.
do you want the Cheech and Chong skin exclusive drop for your agents? You can get it right here.
NFTs, yeah, baby. That's
NFTs.
it.
Can I get a weapon skin for my my government issued sidearm? What do you think? What do you hope will be the legacy of Delta Green in 10 years, 20 years from now? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean,
Very optimistic
still
timeline. he's
helping
given
me
us.
afford my mortgage, I hope.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's here, hopefully people will still be playing it. I mean, we've been writing it since 1993 or so.
Yeah, if we can figure out a way to get the jellyfish, who are going to be the only things that can survive the environment that we're rapidly turning the Earth into, to play Delta Green, then that's going to be a kick-ass legacy.
Hey, what may in the future you may just be living Delta Green? Who knows?
It will just be crabs. We know the crabs will be here.
Coleopterans, and
They're going to be rolling dice,
Portuguese
and
man
smoking
man of
cigarettes.
Yeah.
I mean, with you guys moving to Canada, I think our chances went off. But I'm eager to see how far we can get until the decline of the U.S. security state. Like, can we keep riding until ACEL is just literally an LLM AI that's in charge of all the weapons? Or, like, can we keep riding it until, like, the Cowboys is just one guy at a postal office in Maine? Like,
it's going to be all of us in our
water,
our 70s and 80s, all crotchety and writing Delta Green shit because we refuse to let AIs do it.
Yeah.
And somebody somewhere has to figure out a way to get that without the algorithms diverting everything to the AI producers instead.
Oh yeah, someone's asking about Black Company. We talked about that earlier. It'll be in the VOD. Have there been any fun developments for Black Company?
Me and Shane are just
I mean, not much that we can, probably not much that we want to talk about out loud, because it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we do, but we basically have spent like 6 months, 9 months. Way before we secured the deal, we were actively developing a game around it. And then my idea was, if the deal fell through, then okay, fuck it, I'll do something else. I'll put a different name on it, and do something else with it. But
I've been running a campaign now for about a year.
We each have with different groups. And it's been very fun. It's sort of, the game system is had a lot of iterations and different shapes to it, into the I think more or less final shape that it's taking. So now it's at a point where it's not like reinventing the wheel as much as honing and sharpening.
It's a very I'll say it's a very Delta Green adjacent game.
Mm-hmm.
It shares a lot of theme and a lot of horror and a lot of kind of personal horror.
You're playing these more or less ordinary soldiers in a fantasy world with really powerful magic all around, and you're not the ones doing the really powerful magic. You're the ones trying to survive the really powerful magic, or go murder the people that have the really powerful magic.
It's quite fun. It'd be Delta Green if you accidentally had to serve Nyarlathotep or something like that as a Delta Green agent. It would, not a good outcome for a Delta Green agent, but anyway, we're working on it, and we're going to take our time and make it as great as it can possibly be.
Yeah, it's been very fun to do though.
Yeah.
Oh, question. As someone from Europe, do you have any book recommendations that give insight into various U.S. agencies?
There's a bunch in the
those are
Handler's
all.
Guide recommended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the agent's handbook there's a whole recommended reading page that's nothing but that. So yeah, look that up. That'll
It's
if
really
you
good
work your
stuff
way
too.
through that and you still need things to read, then come ask again, because we'll have more stuff to show you that we didn't put in there.
If you want a really good book on American fuckery, Confessions of an Economic Hitman is a really good book that gives you a really good insight into how awesome our country is when dealing with other countries.
I
Somebody in the
sense
chat,
sarcasm.
somebody in the chat recommended Legacy of Ashes. I think that's very good.
Yeah,
book.
yeah. Tim
Yeah.
Weiner has done a ton of
Yeah,
awesome work.
Question: Are there going to be any more entries in the Killing Field actual plays on the Arc Dream YouTube channel? Because they were really good.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I got together with Ross with the idea of doing a series of sort of high end videos, I guess, that were introductory actual play things. So yeah, I don't think I don't know that we're doing any more of those actively right now though, but it was a pretty fun project.
All right. Here's the recommended reading page meant to get all of us on the watch list. You're already there, bud. Don't worry.
Yeah, just being talking with us,
That's been
being on the
sorted.
same chat. You're done.
You think the NSA can't see through your Twitch username?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, you're cooked.
Hey, just do what we do. Build a 2-scale representation of the FBI agent that's currently surveilling you. Build a 2-scale model of his house in Minecraft on your server.
That's right.
Yeah, that'll show him.
It is pretty great that like the real world form of digital access and hacking is basically just like do a roll, like, and it's basically your security clearance. Like you can get anything you want.
Yeah.
It's basically just what special access program you trained in.
I mean, 10 Echelon is 22 years old. Whatever they have now is ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, all that shit that Edward Snowden told us about, like that was 4 generations ago. So
yeah, whatever they have now, forget it.
Got someone asking if you're interested in outside submissions for modules, and similar to like the shotgun scenario time.
Yeah, shotgun scenarios is pretty much where we do that. Occasionally, well, we have one here right now. His name is Caleb.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, we don't do the shotgun scenario contests, right? That's there's fans that get together and do. As far as submitting material to be officially published, that happens really rarely. So I wouldn't say that we're in the market for that, because generally we're not. If we happen to stumble upon something that all of us say, "Oh man, I'm super horny to publish that," then
I'll straight up say,
and then about 10 years later, it'll get published, which is like what happened with Caleb and God's Teeth.
What I'll say is the way to do it isn't to submit text to us. It is to run an actual play of your content and get interest, and we will discover it. And that's what happened with God's Teeth. That's why God's Teeth became a thing with us. Clearly it was a thing before us. But that's for me, that's a submission. Is you see something and you cannot deny the quality of that something, and you really want to see it printed. But almost certainly, if you handed in a manuscript, it would end up on a pile of books in Shane's house somewhere eventually.
Yeah, they'll be contributing to my extremely large inbox 25,043 project instead of inbox 0.
Is that what your mail is?
Oh, I have no idea, but yeah,
because you have to kill Rachel now and burn the house to the ground, just start again.
Right, eventually, yeah,
that's true. There's no choice.
Yeah, I mean the tricky thing is that we're all writing our own stuff that we want to publish.
There's few slots, so submitting it isn't the way to get it anywhere.
But there,
You know.
there's royalty amongst shotgun scenario submissions. Like there's people who
Yeah, I mean,
so
we
much
did,
that
we're
would
working
love-
on right now putting
Yeah,
together a book of the really awesome
but as the guy
shotgun
who did
scenarios.
it, as the guy
Yeah.
who did it, if you can do it unbidden and then have 100 people nag Shane and Dennis to let you write
way
for
better.
them, it's a way better pitch. Yeah.
So the other one I'll say is like our intro scenario is by a guy on the outside. You know.
Brett.
Yeah.
Brett.
Yeah.
Occasionally it happens.
It happens. But
But as with everything Delta Green, it doesn't really happen by plan.
Yeah, and
it just sort of
it's
weird things kind of come together and glom together.
If you want to imagine our submission guidelines, you ever have that thing where you go to look for your homework and you open up the paper and it's got gum in the middle of it and it says homework at the top but nothing else written on it, and you just kind of throw it out? That's our submission guidelines. We barely handle our own submissions, much less anyone else's submissions. But that having said that, we love fan creations and we love to see actual plays. So if you have an idea and you think it's great, get it up and play it and get people to see it, because that kind of stuff, I love seeing stuff like that.
Caleb, what was the runtime on this?
We can head out whenever. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have an out. This is just I didn't know.
Oh hell yeah! Fuck all y'all then.
Let's wrap it up in 10.
All right. I got one. Okay, let's do one last question here because I got a really good one. I think it'll be a lot of fun to end this on. But the Delta Green movie finally happens. You all get a cameo. Are you a handler in over their head? Are you a cultist who gets eaten by the demon they summon? What role are you playing in the Delta Green movie / whatever media format, like visual media format it comes out? Who are you?
I mean, best case scenario, something horrible explodes out of me, and that'll be the end of it.
I'm the guy taking out my AirPods and turning around on the New York City street to be gunned down by like a running cultist Delta Green activity in the middle. What?
Oh, what's that noise?
See, I see you being the artist killed by their art. Their artists.
That would be a dream, but I'm not that full of myself. I would just assume I'd be a casualty on the street somewhere.
We'd probably save that role for Times. Let him be creating something, and then the creation turns around and
I'm about to say
eats him face.
I feel like Glancy's a little typecasted for this role because he's already just there.
Yeah, he's living in the Delta.
He'll be in the coffee shop, literally loudly declaiming something or other, and then shit goes bad.
What's Caleb?
Is there any other state for Glancy?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think I'd probably, if it was a Delta Green, if they did God's Teeth, I'd be Lee Jarnigan. He's my self-insert fanfic. I'd be the plagiarist. I'm the weirdo who smokes weed and types 5-paragraph essays for rich kids all day and just never goes outside.
That is the most Caleb.
And plays video games. So I'm not a very good actor, but I can nail that role. Like I send an angry message to the ICC tip line, America KKK. Like, I know that part. I can do that one. Yeah.
And there's a 10-second conversation between agents of, do we need to murder him or not?
Yeah. I kind of want to.
Oh, there was one last question. Any plans for a Detweiler / Delta Green art book?
I don't know. Maybe throw it on the pile of other books. Like we're really bent. I would love to do something like that in the future at some point, of course. But we're really just so bent on the books we're working on right now. I'm neck deep in Millennium, doing Millennium art all day, every day.
I'm editing,
and and Shane is writing Falling Towers, and I'm writing Operational History, and Caleb's working on these time scenarios and a bunch of other stuff.
I appreciate him framing it as a Detweiler / Delta Green art book, because that opens the way for me to contribute some of my stick figures, into the art
Trust me,
book,
you don't want that.
like the scrawls and shit. And where people can look at it and say, "Why did you put something in
Yeah.
here that a
Shane,
3-year-old drew?"
my favorite, just the side
And
note,
I
my
was like,
favorite
"Oh
is
no,
Shane.
that's my signature down at the bottom."
Shane will go through an operation and suggest illustrations, and these are my favorite. He so clearly has no visual sense that he'll say like, you should illustrate how this person is feeling at this point emotionally. And I'm like,
Do
that's really
art.
not, it's not a
Art.
really very interesting thing. A person standing in an elevator looking sad is not going to sell it.
That's why it's art. You evoke
Anyway,
that.
thank you for recommending it. I would love to do that.
Someone does say
All
that
right.
they've been a fan of Dennis's art since Magic the Gathering, which is something that I can second because as
Thank you.
as a child in the early '90s,
Oh my God.
yeah, how's that make you feel?
I'm crumbling.
When I remember, for whatever reason, this art stuck with me and it's always in my head. But it is the art you did for Pikeman for the white white.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, every time I saw that, I was like, this is so out of, like, it just felt very out of place in the white deck. And then then later on, as I got to know Dennis Detweiler, I was like, oh no, fucking shit. Of course that's why it's that way.
Of course.
This
Of
motherfucker
course,
turns
yeah.
the good faction and makes it look very
Good-ish.
good-ish.
I mean,
relative.
yeah.
But I was like, man, that art could be on a black deck easily.
This year I actually got hate mail for Feast of the Unicorn for the first time in a long time.
Wow.
Like, I used to get emails weekly.
I love that
about
picture.
in the late '90s, and I got one basically. I hate you because you killed Unicorn. And I'm just like, it's a call. Like what?
It's a
but
drawing.
I missed them. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me more.
I actually when I found out that this was the same person that I've been a fan of for a long, Delta Green, all that, I was like, oh, they did Match the Gathering as well. Okay, cool. I went through my entire collection and pulled them all out, and I was like, setting these aside. These are the special cards. The rest of these garbage.
Yeah, Jesper, the art director for Magic, did Devil's Children for Pagan Publishing and was one of our artists for The Oath. And we knew all those guys for years.
That's awesome.
Before the Magic turned up. So
that's super cool. All right. I guess if that's all from the chat.
Yeah.
Any parting words from our assembled cast?
We love you guys. Thank you for putting up with our nonsense.
Yeah, thanks so much for supporting us, moving over to Ghost.io. Those of you that have already, and thanks for listening to us ramble.
Yeah, this is super cool, except for what was that guy? Finfan, something or other. Fuck that guy. I don't know what his deal is. But we're done.
Shane scrawling Fintan with a knife into his desk as we stream.
It's gonna be on his knuckles.
All right. Well, I think that's it for everybody. Have a good night, everybody. And thanks for joining us. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.